Breaking moments ago, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signing a law to end the private government Disney runs around its resort in Orlando after the company criticized a state law that critics call the Don't Say Gay bill. Supporters say it's about protecting parental rights. The governor also signed a bill to give people in his state what he calls freedom from indoctrination, both at work and at school. Watch.
We are not going to use your tax dollars to teach our kids to hate this country or to hate each other. We're not going to tell other kids that they're oppressed based on their race.
Let's bring in Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney, former high school English teacher, Fox News contributor, and host of the Leo Terrell podcast. Leo, it's always great to have you on. So you have DeSantis signing this law. He says he believes in education, not indoctrination. And you have critics responding almost immediately saying what this will do is limit any education about race in Florida schools. Your thoughts, Leo?
That is absolutely false. The critics are wrong. Trace, these are great bills signed by the governor. It prevents an educational hostile takeover by the progressive left who want to push critical race theory. It creates a level playing field. He signed bills that will allow teachers who are required to talk about the benefits of democracy, freedom, liberty. What the left has done, Trace, is try to lie about the idea that history and this country's good, bad, and indifferent. Not being taught. Critical race theory is a bunch of false misrepresentation of this history. It's not a perfect country, but it's a country that has benefits that allow many people to come to this great country.
And for those who say that this might stop teachers from teaching about what they call true history, Leo, what would you say to them?
I say to you, Trace, I say to everyone watching Fox, I was a school history teacher. I taught English. I taught U.S. history. I taught the good, the bad, the best and the worst of this country, but it's always been taught. This is a spin, Trace, to destroy everything good from the left, to destroy everything good about this country. And that's what the progressive left wants to do. What these bills do is prevent that takeover of indoctrination.
Yeah, and this bans educators from teaching, and I'm quoting here, one race, color, national origin, or sex are morally superior to members of another race, color, national origin, or sex. DeSantis says it's an anti-hate bill, and that was the big push that started really kind of back in Virginia, where people were saying, listen, the whole concept behind this is you can't teach kids to hate each other.
And Trace, let me take off my teacher's hat and put on my civil rights hat. And let's remind people who want to teach critical race theory what Dr. King said, judging a person by the content of the character, not skin color. To teach that one race is better or inferior to another is racist. And it's insulting to all those who fought for the civil rights movement. And I find it offensive as a civil rights attorney, as an American, as a former history teacher.
Let me play this soundbite. This is Governor DeSantis talking about the Disney bill. Watch.
Walt Disney Corporation claimed that America was founded on, quote, systemic racism and encouraged employees to complete a, quote, white privilege checklist. Under this law, that is a violation of your civil rights.
I mean, for those who don't know, Leo, what happened back in the 60s, Disney was given kind of this special provision. It was called the Reedy Creek Authority, and they really were their own government, right? Set up their own tax system, their own police, their own pretty much everything, and now the governor is taking that away. Do you think it's a good move going after Disney and doing this?
I think it's an excellent move, Trace, and I'll tell you why. It's a signal to all these woke corporations who want to influence government politics. And let me be very clear. Disney has the right to articulate a viewpoint, and those Florida legislatures have the right to pass bills pro and con for companies and against companies. That is called democracy. Disney doesn't like it, put their own people in politics. But they have exercised their freedom of speech, and the Florida legislature has spoken, and they have passed a bill to take away Disney's special privileges, because that's exactly what it was.
But I wonder, because a lot of people on the right criticize those on the left for this consistent and nonstop cancel culture. Isn't this a little bit of cancel culture from the right going toward the left, Leo?
Let me address that. Disney's not being canceled. Disney is not being canceled at all. What the progressive left has done is to try to eliminate, cut off the opportunity to even exist. The Florida legislature, Trace, is not trying to eliminate Disney. They're just telling Disney you can't have it all for yourself.
Leo Terrell, always great to get your insights, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Trace.
But here are the new rules. If you would like a big publicly held corporation to pay its taxes, then you're a child rapist. Obviously, you're a racist. You're like Putin, which means you're a fascist. But you know what else you are? According to Joy Reid, you're a communist. Ron DeSantis is, quote, taking us back to the Soviet Union. You're a communist if you want the company to pay its taxes. Now, Joy Reid went to Harvard, so we're not going to disagree with her. But we did feel a moral obligation to check that fact because it's a heavy claim. So joining us tonight to confirm or deny these charges is Comrade Ron DeSantis, who is also the governor of Florida. Governor, thanks so much for coming on tonight. So I can't tell whether you're a racist, a communist, a fascist for wanting a big publicly held corporation to pay its taxes. How would you describe yourself?
Well, it's interesting, Tucker. Not only pay taxes, I mean, this company had a deal unlike any company or any individual in all of the state of Florida and probably anywhere in the United States. They were self-governing. They had extraordinary powers. They could build nuclear power plants. They didn't have to go through permitting processes, obviously a lot of tax benefits. And so that's just inappropriate. And it's certainly inappropriate when you look, as you, I think, did a great job pointing out, they pledged themselves to mobilize their considerable corporate resources out of the coffers of this Burbank, California-based corporation to overturn the rights of parents in the state of Florida and effectively commandeer our democratic process. And so that obviously is something that we very much objected to. And then you also have those videos that you showed where you have all these higher-ups in Disney talking about how it was their intent to inject sexuality in the programming that goes to young kids. I got a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old at home, Tucker. I want them to be able to watch cartoons without having this stuff jammed down their throats. And so it was appropriate to have done this originally, 3 years ago, whatever, but it's certainly appropriate to make them live under the same laws as everybody else in the state of Florida.
Well, yeah, it's a little weird coming from people who devote their programming to defending, quote, democracy. So you've been elected by the voters of Florida. You're standing for election very soon in November, and we'll see how you do. But you're a product of democracy. Bob Chapek and Bob Iger were elected by nobody, so why wouldn't democracy defenders be on the side of the legislative process over corporate fiat?
Because I think what the left has come to is all they want to see is power exercised in advance of their leftist agenda. So yes, they used to be hostile to big corporations because I think they perceived those corporations as being apolitical and that they wouldn't support their agenda. Now they figured out that they can try to subcontract out their leftism to some of these big corporations, and some of the executives will cave to the woke mob, and then they'll basically do the left's dirty work. Tucker, they're not going to win elections in Florida if they're actually running on injecting transgender ideology into second-grade classrooms, and they know that. So their hope was getting Disney involved in that would somehow get me to back down from signing the bill. Well, that was a bad judgment in their part because, of course, we weren't going to back down an inch.
It's a little weird because there are a bunch of Republican governors in the country. You're actually a Republican governor that sits over one of the most evenly divided states. It's a Republican state, but just barely. Overwhelmingly Republican states in the West, like Utah, their governors have done nothing like this. They haven't fought back at all. Why is that, do you think?
You know, I don't know, Tucker. I mean, I think the way I view it is you have the media class, you have kind of the Twitter class, you have some of these people, and that's a distorted view of reality. And you actually need to talk to people who aren't always on those outlets and listen to what they have to say. And I can tell you, they do not want this woke garbage in our society. They don't want women to be denied the opportunity to participate in sports. They don't want to see their kids go to kindergarten and have this stuff jammed down their throats. And so I just stand with the people. I stand against a lot of media and a lot of big corporations. But at the end of the day, I think we have the facts and the strength in numbers on our side.